Awkward moment.
Awkward moment. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in to the BAMF podcast. I'm your host, Mike Lafferty. Here is our contractually obligated intro music.
Awesome.
That high quality musical montage,
Yes.
high quality musical presentation you just witnessed. Assure you, gentle viewer, gentle listener, this is a high quality professional gaming podcast. Only the finest, organically grown, ethically sourced, gluten free, red dye number five free, geeky conversations for your podcast listening pleasure. And today we have a treat for you. Usual co-host Jacob Blackman is here, adding his cherubic charm to the proceedings. Jacob, good to see you.
I'm not sure how cherubic I am, considering I am densely bearded, but I will accept the compliment.
Sort of a Viking cherub, if you will. And we have Mr. Owen KC Stephens and Darren Drader, two legendary icons in the world of tabletop RPG design. Gentlemen, how are you this fun evening?
Doing good.
We are also densely bearded and gray bearded. So what's wrong with you, Mike?
Beard. I have a little bit, not as much as you guys.
Well, okay, but at least it's the right color.
I
Right?
think you might a little more than I do.
You and I and Jacob have gray beards, like we're supposed to. I'm calling out our host.
Prayer, clean living, and vitamins.
I believed you until you said vitamins.
He's sapping the strength of his one child. I don't know.
There's a picture in my attic that looks like shit, but but hey, let's talk. We got two games to promote tonight. Do we want to do these like back to back or both at the same time? How is it? We're doing a big promotion, crowdfunding promotion tonight.
Back to back. I think it's confusing to try to do it at the same time.
Everyone does things back to back. Let's instead pick a topic, and then we'll each cover that topic for our game.
Ooh, I'm not prepared for that.
Good.
Okay, then, Owen, I will share the backer kit image of your game, and you can tell us about it. And because I am a consummate professional, one of the longest working professionals in the cutthroat tabletop RPG podcast space, I have made a tiny URL of Owen's backer kit URL, so I can say it easily on the air. tinyurl.com/trumpcardfun.
You know, you had a tiny URL that you had last time that you mentioned this game, which is tinyurl.com card game Trump, and that's actually what I've been using. Your tiny URL that you made last time you had.
Yeah, it's still on my buffer. There we go. Card game Trump. All right. I didn't say I had a great memory. I just said I was
the game is Trump Card, and we pitch it as Trump Card, the game of lying liars and the lies they lie about. It is, I think it will be no shock from that description, both a political mockery and parody game, and it's a bluffing game. So it's a card game where you have one of four suits of things that are important to Trump. So you've got golden commodes, walls, rallies, and towers. And each player has to state that they are playing, and they play it face down, the card that is the very best of one of those suits. So I have the very best golden commode. But you all have to make that claim based on the first person to play each round. And if you don't have that card, you lie. And then we have a round of where people try to decide who they think actually has the best card. And you get points for having the best card. You have points for correctly deciding who has the best card. You have points if you don't have the best card and someone else guesses you do. And of course, there are action cards. So we've got things like Covfefe. We have the original Covfefe quote. We date when Trump said it, so we've got our receipts on this one. And that actual action card says Covfefe. It doesn't mean anything. Discard this card and pick a card from the discard pile that actually means something. And that very quiet giggle from Darren Drader is basically what we're looking for in this game. So it's supposed to be a fun game. We've got amazing cartoons from veteran cartoonist and gamer Stan, including our orange-faced, tiny-handed, long red tie-wearing version of Trump. Speaking of the hands, in this game, you only get to have 4 cards at a time because it is a game of small hands. And we are crowdfunding now. We started yesterday. We're almost funded. We're 90% of the way there. And we actually already have a discussion going in the discussion group there at Packer Kit about what action cards people still want to see. I'm not going to get them all in there. And, I don't know that I actually want to have a grab them by the kitty cat card. But there are things that are, I think, important to mock that we are asking people what they would most like us to see viciously parody in the trump card game.
If you could find a way to make fun of the upcoming Great Patriotic War against Greenland and or Canada, I think that would be great.
Well, we certainly have some Greenland commentary already in the maybe list. I have way more potential action cards than the game can possibly fit. So there are some that are locked in. The rules were you weren't going to fact check is locked in. Cafefe is locked in. Stable Genius, I assure you, is locked in. There are other cards that are maybes because I couldn't afford to pay Stan for the art for this entire game and our layout person for all the layout, which is why we're doing a Kickstarter. So there's still some maybes, and there's still place for feedback from people that want to go back. Now, go back now. Now, give me your money.
What about dancing in place?
Yeah, maybe. I have so many that are specific quotes I can tie to them that are clearly insane, like talking about Revolutionary War airports. So, of course, we might do a trump card action deck as a stretch goal once we hit our funding level. So there's a bunch of stuff we can still get in there.
I have a question about your title.
What?
I have a question about your title.
Yeah.
The Game of Lying Liars and the Lies They Lie About.
Yep.
That is derived from a book that was written by Al Franken, I believe, back in the early 2000s, correct?
Yes.
Of course, back then they were making fun of the Bush administration.
Yes. But also, originally the game was just Trump Card. And it was originally Trump Card, a political bluffing game. But as I wrote the rules, I realized that everyone playing would end up being a liar and that everyone playing would lie. And then some of my action cards have you lying about your lies. And going with lying liars and the lies they lie about was just too good at that point. Darren, tell us about your game.
Okay, so...
How many tiny URLs has Mike made for you so far?
I don't know. A couple, I think. Anyway, mine is not a game so much as it is a campaign setting for 5e.
Right.
So, and the reason that this came
If
about...
I may interject, sir, please, 1,000 pardons. tinyurl.com/daring and dread.
Very cool. Now let me get back to my train of thought.
Campaign setting 5e.
Yes, campaign setting for 5e. Originally, the Daring and Dread line is something I started doing so I could put out adventures. And you'll find those adventures under Darren Drader Designs up at DriveThruRPG. In fact, one of them has been used as a fundraiser for somebody who is right here on the podcast. So I've got these adventures. I've got plans for more adventures, and I've got all of this setting information that's been kind of piling up over the last. I've been working on this thing on and off for about 10 years, and so I decided it was about time to actually do a campaign setting product so that we can put that in the hands of the people who are actually playing the adventures. And even if you're not playing the adventures, you can run your own adventures or run classic adventures or new adventures set in this setting. And unlike many of the settings these days, this one it intentionally has a little bit of an old school feel to it. It's also a bit like what would happen if you took Tolkien and mashed it together with Greek mythology. The Greek gods, the Greek pantheon, which has been featured in gaming products in the past, has never really made it to an actual setting before that I'm aware of. So I decided it's time to do that because I really like the Greeks and that flavor. In addition to that, the Egyptian pantheon is also part of the setting. So no surprise, there's a section of the world that's very much like Egypt. And then there's also a home pantheon. So that's the gods. As far as the playable species go, it focuses on the classic ones: humans, elves, dwarves.
Kender.
No Kender. Halflings.
Okay.
There are halflings. Minotaur. Minotaurs are not typically included as a core species, but in this case, I said that would be appropriate because of the Greek influence. And then in addition to that, I resurrected the recently dropped half elf and half orc. The story of the setting, basically, the Androsan Empire was basically filled the entire Androsan continent of Androsa. The empire fell about 100 years ago. Back then, it would have looked a lot like ancient Rome, but it's 100 years later. Things are looking a lot more medieval these days, although there's a lot of kind of Greek-looking ruins scattered around. There's also a number of mostly on the east coast of the continent where the seat of power used to be. There's kingdoms that are vying for control. They want to reestablish the Androsan Empire, and most of the rest of the continent is like, no, I don't think so. But they're competing with one another, and they are also trying to exert their influence farther away. So I could probably rattle on about this forever. Does anybody have any questions?
Where's the slideshow we're currently looking at come from?
What's that?
Mike made that.
Is that all art from Daring and Dread?
Most of it.
Yeah, the animated pieces are not, but
Okay.
Yeah, the rest of this is Dean Spencer artwork that will appear in the product.
It's gorgeous art, which is why I wanted to call it out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dean does good work. He really does.
He does amazing work.
Yeah, I've got his work on the cover of and inside some of my products as well, but it seemed like it was worth mentioning.
Yeah, I like
you mentioned having minotaurs. I presume part of that was because you're doing the whole Greek mythology tie-in.
Right.
Are you either already including or considering including other classic Greek critters as player characters, like centaurs and harpies and cyclops?
Goatmen.
Sure.
They're not going to be mentioned in the core product, except maybe in passing. They may be part of an expansion product. The thing is that I really, in addition to the Greek, I really want to get back to kind of where, D&D was in first and second edition in terms of, the species that were the most dominant in the world, such as, Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk, that type of thing. Back then it was elves, dwarves, humans, halflings, basically, and half orcs, right? So I want to get back to that flavor primarily. That's not to say that there aren't other species in this world, because there are, but I would say they're not dominant, therefore not necessarily meriting space in this particular book.
Sure.
So I think we were talking about the marketing pitch. It's compatible with 2014, with kind of a 2020 compatible with a 2014 flavor. And we're going to be bundling it in with Zine Quest because, we're hipsters and we do zines like the cool kids do. So trying to ride those coattails.
I'm still honestly a little unclear what the distinction of a zine is.
I've just treated it as kind of a shorter book made by an indie publisher. Since we're all indie publishers, if it's less than 100 pages, I'm going to call it a zine. But if you're being a purist, I think you have to have it be perfect bound or staple bound and be on colored paper with black and white art. But I'm not a purist, so.
And I don't think we're necessarily going to be under 100 pages either.
Oh, really? Okay. I thought we were aiming for like 60 or 70. See, folks, the sausage is being made right in front of you.
I don't have everything that I have already written included yet, and I'm up over 50 pages, and that doesn't even account for new material that I'm writing as I go. So I suspect we're going to be over 100.
We had a question from Lava Bing.
Yeah.
We had mentioned the Roman Empire, and he was asking for clarification.
Yes.
Or
The Holy Roman Empire was neither holy nor Roman.
Nor an empire.
No, it would be the somewhat modeled after the classic Roman Empire,
Mm-hmm.
and that being the Western Roman Empire.
Although I like the idea of a Holy Roman Empire, but then we get into Charlemagne, and it's a whole other thing.
The Holy Roman Empire makes an awesome D&D setting. They second edition even had some setting book support that you could use for roughly that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
the
one elephant charging around, and the piers and Joyous and Durendal. There's lots of cool stuff. It's just not what Darren's doing this time around.
Right.
Fair enough. So we are launching on the 4th, which is coming upon us with a quickness. That's Tuesday.
Wow.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that is almost here. So Darren, how close is the manuscript to being done?
It's in process. Like I said, I've got over 50 pages right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a lot of material that already exists. It's going to get worked into it. The maps are basically done. You have a copy of the map, don't you? You can always flash that up there. I think that's one of the strong points that we can actually show people right now. So, like I said, it's very close in terms of content. There's still some more content that needs to be written, but I expect to have that completely wrapped by the end of February.
Okay, cool. This is exciting.
Just before we went live, folks, we were talking about crowdfunding and which ones are on time and which ones aren't.
Yeah.
We were. But just in case anyone's wondering, right, part of the point of a crowdfunding campaign is to see how much money you've got to go with initially. And generally speaking, you want to have enough that you are sure you're going to be able to finish. But if the entire thing is finished by the time you launch, you have overworked and you don't know what your funding is for sure or how big it needs to be, et cetera, et cetera. This is my first Trump Card is going to be my first card game to market. And that is one of the reasons why I absolutely wanted to crowdfund this, because if we just hit funding level, great. I absolutely have a business plan version of doing things that way, and that'll be fine. And then I'll have a card game out there and people can give me feedback on it. If it makes twice that slightly changes things. If it made, and I dare to dream, 20 times the funding level, that radically changes what's possible. So,
what you really need is for someone on Fox News to notice you and complain about you on prime time.
I originally was trying to get this thing to go live on January 20th, and we were claiming because nothing else worth watching is happening that day. But we just couldn't get it approved in that period of time. It's my first on BackerKit. I've got several other crowdfunding campaigns.
Yeah,
this is the first BackerKit campaign.
When I say hi to Bear, the Gen X GM, who is tuned in, Bear is our friend in the potential 51st state to our north. So,
hey, Bear.
Sure.
But see, now I have to ask which one, Greenland or Canada, because they're both north of us.
It's true.
He would be in the Great White North, Canada, the same great nation that spawned Rush and
William Shatner
and Letterkenny and the Mackenzie brothers. So let's go around the horn one more time. Oh, hey, before we get too far off the beaten path, we got another crowdfunding thing running. I know. Well, this is actually a charity bundle.
Yes.
People who need help because maybe they're not getting enough support from hilarious, the joke there. I'm sorry, Bear. tinyurl.com/Cali Fire Bundle. We're raising money to help the American Red Cross with the California wildfire relief because there's not a lot of FEMA money flowing there right now, and as gamers, occasionally our community should step up and do something.
And Darren, I believe, has a product in it, and I have
four products on it.
A lot of folks have products in it. Onyx Path kicked something in. That's nice because the big publishers don't always. It's nice that they showed up because we talked to a lot of publishers. But yeah, there's
Right.
$100 of PDFs in here for $25. So,
I actually put my fairly recently released Starship rules in this. And the reason is because, frankly, something like this is going to get probably a wider audience than what I'm going to get for people just coming to my RPG or to my drive-through site and buying directly. And I'd really like it if these rules became kind of standard. You'll find them in Reign of Discordia, and you're also going to find them. Reign of Discordia is my own space opera setting, and you're also going to find them in the Damn It rules as well for 5e. Damn It being Mike's project with
Space Dwarves.
Space Dwarves, yes.
But that's in the bundle. Crawlers and Paragon Ultimate Edition.
Yep.
That's in there. Savage World Adventure Edition is in there. Pinnacle showed up to help us out. Arthur Lives by Jason Townder, who's now at Wizards of the Coast. That is in there. Black Star by our friend Len Pimentel. Also by this Axe I Hack by Len. Champions Electrocuted War, our Transformers game. Now, and I could just go on. There's literally $500 worth of PDFs in here. So please check it out. It's for a good cause. And
it's already done pretty good numbers too.
Yeah, we were 7,000. I checked 3 or 4 days ago before I had to go on a business trip. So I imagine we're inching closer to 8. So
and Mike, what is the tiny URL for that for people who are just listening?
Oh, it's going across the screen right now. tinyurl.com/Cali Fire Bundle. And great minds think alike. Lava Bing was asking with the fundraiser. tinyurl.com/Cali Fire Bundle. You can check that out right now. And let's see. tinyurl.com/ that was Trump card game.
Card Game Trump.
Card Game Trump. Yeah, that is for Owens. Yeah, I don't think it's on the main page on drive-thru anymore. Apologies for that. But yeah, tinyurl.com/Cali Fire Bundle. And just to mention Owens game one more time. That is so many tiny URLs. Card Game Trump. Let me share the page. And once more, Owen is making light of our current political situation. So give a chance to support him before he winds up in Gitmo for unrelated,
Oh, no, I'm sure I'll be fine. I have birthright citizenship.
They can't take that away. tinyurl.com/cardgametrump. Looks like fun. The game is done, right, Owen?
So the core mechanics of the game are done. Not all the art is done because I want to be able to pay my artist, so I didn't ask for more art than I could afford to pay if it didn't fund. Not all of the layout is done because not all the art is done. And we currently have it's going to be a 104 card deck. We currently have more cards than we can put in a 104 card deck, and not all of those cards have been completely workshopped. So while there are 3 Trump cards. There's Trump 45, Biden Your Time, and Trump 47. And Trump 47 beats Biden Your Time beats Trump 45 beats Trump 47. But otherwise, those 3 Trump cards take any hand they're played in. We still have specific action cards that we've got room for when we do the final great shuffle of what actually is going to go in the deck. Some of that is going to depend on what suggestions people have here in the Kickstarter. I wanted to know if someone suggests a great quote to base an action card of. I'm not too proud to steal my backers' ideas. And I also workshop with the artist. So there have been a few pieces where they're like, yeah, that's funny, but it's really hard to fit a good piece of cartoon art about that on a, playing card. So like Darren, most of it is done, and we are holding on to the last finishing bits until we know how much we have to work with. Oh, and we do have a pledge level that is the shameless cash grab level, where you pay 5 times as much, and that gets you 1 more card than everyone else. That is the Golden Trump card. And I said that if anyone backed at that level, we would write the rules for the Golden Trump card into everybody's rules so everyone else will know what you got that they didn't. And we currently have one shameless cash grab backer. So everyone, two now, we have two shameless cash grab backers. So we will be making rules for the Golden Trump card, which I didn't finalize because I wasn't sure anyone was going to pay 5 times as much for one extra card. But one of the things I have learned after 28 years in this industry is do give people an opportunity to give you more money.
That is reasonable. All right. And that's running for how long?
That'll be running until the end of February 27th or 28th.
All right, cool. And Darren and I are doing a Kickstarter for his 5E compatible but old school feel setting, tinyurl.com/daring and dread. And I've got that map up. I can share that real fast.
Cool.
There we go. That is kind of nifty.
Who did the map?
I did.
That's a nice map, Darren.
Thank you.
That is a gorgeous map.
Did you use a cartography program?
What I used, I actually used Incarnate to do it.
Cool.
It's very high res. If you zoom in on Parsetia right here, there's a Jamba Juice right here between the E and the T.
But I presume it's an Egyptian-themed Jamba Juice.
Of course.
It is. They have mummy protein powder they can put into you.
Oh, Mike, mummy protein powder is a little too close to Victorian reality.
That's why
Seriously.
I mentioned it, but yeah. So, all right, guys. Do you have any plans to table $20 bill to the card to win the play? You should show
No, but you don't staple it to the card. You mail it to me, and then I will mail you a card that specifically says you're allowed to put it up your sleeve. And when you produce it, it's legal for use. But whoever you use it to win the game against, they get to punch it out, and now it's not legal anymore, and you have to send me another $20. Although you get 3 for $50.
Uh-huh.
And you're all laughing, but don't be surprised if you see that as a pledge level tomorrow.
Fair enough.
All right. We could do. I try to be apolitical. We could do a whole show about. There have been various products lampooning our 45th and 47th president, showing up in the tabletop space for several years now.
I don't have a problem being on that show, especially if we get it done before the end of the month, so that I can once again shamelessly promote my money-making venture.
It's cool. I know Stephen Trustham, another friend of ours from the Great White North, has done several of them. Are you getting weird emails or any kind of pushback?
In the 24 hours it's been up? No, not yet.
Okay.
But I mean, I got death threats over the Star Wars role-playing game from Wizards of the Coast, so I have stopped worrying about how people may react to the games I want to make.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, though. We're talking about Star Wars fans, so death threats shouldn't be surprising.
What? All right, so the first one was surprising, especially since I got a death threat for not correctly quoting the length of the Executor Superstar Destroyer. For that, I was sentenced to death. Right? But now I get 2 or 3 death threats a year over the past 5 or 6 years. So weird emails don't frighten me.
I've been lucky. I haven't had to deal with a lot of that. I had one guy who tried to get me fired from Wizards of the Coast, but other than that,
let's see. I had someone that sent emails to every company I worked for or freelanced for, telling them why they needed to fire me. Someone spread hateful lies about me all over the Paizo message boards. And the Sarah Marie, who handled the Paizo message boards at the time, took them all down. But I had been running RPG Superstar, so I had full access to the message board so I could see the deleted posts. And so I got in, and she was trying to get to me before I checked the message boards so she could tell me what was going on. And that was not the order it happened in. But I mean, Paizo was super supportive. Green Ronin, who got told that they needed to get rid of me, was super supportive. I was getting people were posting about me on Facebook at one point, and Green Running's social media manager at the time told me that he would make that stop, and it stopped. So
Good.
one of the reasons I keep my original AOL email address is that seems to be the one that hateful idiots find most easily.
I didn't know that was an option to keep that old email address. That's okay.
Oh yeah, you don't have to pay for AOL anymore, so you can. I still have my email address from 1995. And if anyone cares, that is OSTEPHENS@AOL.com. Feel free to send me whatever stupid, hateful email you want. I will check it once every 2 or 3 weeks.
You know, I think I know why people haven't sent me any death threats, and that's because
The menace in your cold blue eyes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
No, my degree was English rhetoric. I am very good at roasting people badly. So, and I think that I've kind of cultivated that reputation.
Well, I mean, most
time.
of the people who send me death threats create what are clearly burner accounts, right? It's Jedi Laser Monkey 143.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
anonymously threatening you. That's cool.
Yeah.
Cowards.
Yep.
Well, on this happy note, we try to keep these shows short, fast, and fun. tinyurl.com/daring and dread for Darren's Kickstarter, and for Owen's Card Game Trump to his backer kit, which is running for the next month. So, all kinds of cool stuff. Any closing thoughts, gentlemen?
I just want to thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to boost my stuff and to, for that matter, hear about Darren's stuff. So,
and it's always a good time hanging out with Owen because we don't get to do that very often.
Yeah, we used to see each other like at a convention every other year or something, and for a while we both freelanced for Wizards fairly often.
Mm-hmm.
But times they have changed. So
you're in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, I am currently in Oklahoma.
You're in Oklahoma. I'm in Eastern Washington. I will be making it to Norwest Con this year. I have been invited to Dragon Con as a guest this year.
Awesome.
Which I'm excited about because I've never been to a Dragon Con. It should be a fun convention year for me, I think.
And I still don't know if I'll be doing any conventions this year because, in case anyone hadn't heard, I am in remission from cancer, but I'm still recovering from the radiation that killed my tumor like an over-nuked baked potato in the microwave. So we'll see.
Speaking of which, I'd plug this real quick before we're done. Owen gets 50% of the Daring and Dread product, Night of the Grave.
Yep.
That is to help him with his financially beat cancer, and obviously you have beat cancer now, which is great. I'm very happy for you, but you still have the financial burden hanging over your head. So you get 50% of any sales on that. So anybody watching, if you want to help Owen in that respect, that's one way you can do it. You can also donate directly to him. I think there's also another product or two out there.
There are a number of products, which Mike has been very kind to cover before. This one's most relevant this time because you're here. And that particular product has an awesome cover on it. Yeah, there's also a GoFundMe. You can just type "Help Owen KC Stephens Beat Cancer GoFundMe" into Google, and it'll direct you there, even with the AI trying to think of a way to lie about it.
You know what else you could type?
Oh, no.
tinyurl.com/OwenFunds.
I should keep track. I kept track of the Trump card, but I should keep track of all the tiny URLs you make for me.
Now that I'm on Blue Sky, and Blue Sky limits your length on your post.
Yeah.
But tiny URL is very nice because if you have a big long thing, it's not going to like it.
Yep.
You know, I got a flurry of activity the first month or two on Blue Sky, and it's kind of leveled off.
There was a specific period where people were fleeing Twitter in droves.
Mm-hmm.
Over 3 weeks, I got 1,000 additional followers. And for a little while there, I was afraid I was going to drown. Now I am at a much more normal few followers a week rate.
Yeah, there was something weird that happened at the inauguration that I think inspired us to be more. But yeah. We've already been very political on the show. We don't need to get any more into that.
I mean,
And I'm keeping my mouth shut.
and since I'm specifically boosting Trump Card, I haven't been keeping my mouth shut. So,
well, it's understand it's timely. I mean, this is the right time for that game. All right, we have a kaiju game, a kaiju show coming up, sir.
yes, I'm super excited.
Yeah, we occasionally have movie chat shows where we talk about movies or genres of movies that we like, and then we talk about how you can bring that fun to your gaming table. We have a kaiju show on February 7th at 8 o'clock Mountain. That is 1 week from today. We will be here with Stan Brown, who was the artist on Trump Card. I'm sure we'll be talking about Trump Card as well. And talking
He was
about
also both the artist and the game writer for Gingerbread Kaiju.
Gingerbread Kaiju. Yep, and I'm sure we'll be talking about all different kinds and the different eras of kaiju movies, from the men in suit to the special effects into the current CGI era. So it should be a fun show. Jacob, you're up for that too, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And we've got one of our friends in the IGDN, James Kerr. He has a kaiju game launching for Zine Quest, so he'll be here as well. So
Great.
that should be a fun show. I like James. He's a good guy. Another Canadian. A lot of Canadian game designers. So I will refrain from making any more remarks about the 51st state because I clearly irritated poor Bear. And with that, we will call it a show. Thanks, everybody, and we'll catch you next time on the BAMF Podcast.